Hey, today I'm making a video on the b3 Sicilian from the white side of things. That's e4, c5, b3. And basically I think it's a good way to attack black. The bishop gets on b2 really early and exerts control over the center of the board from the corner. And second, I think black just doesn't expect us to ever play b3 on move 2 in the Sicilian. It puts them out of book and they don't get to play their knight or for their dragon or whatever opening they've booked up on. So Morozevich often plays this in blitz games. He's like a really strong grandmaster. And in this one, he's playing Judith Polgar. So the main theme with the b3 Sicilian is to play f4 early, even if they have a pawn on e5, because you want to try to get strong control on the dark squares in the center. And f4 bolsters e5. You'll also see a lot of early queen moves from white. Queen to e2, queen to f3. Um, that also helps control the center. In like basically black is doing a lot more center control early, and white's countering it with moves like f4, compared to the mainline Sicilians where white has control of the center and black's countering it from the sides. So now white's just simply developing pieces, and we've castled queenside rather quickly. Our development's a little bit faster than black, his king's still at home. And you'll see that d4 is a really common move in these positions. We hold off on d4 until our pieces are mostly developed, and then we break with d4 in the center. Okay, so this e5 square looks really good to hop a knight into, or play rook to e1 and then bring a knight into, or maybe bishop e5. But Morozevich sees a sacrifice here. He plays rook takes e7 check, and it has to be king takes, otherwise rook e1 wins the queen in that line. It would be pinning the queen to the king. And bishop e5 would skewer the queen and rook there, but he doesn't even need to do that. He can just take g7 and give up the pawn, even though he's in check. Just scoot the king to b1. That's a common theme. We take the rook, and we're up quite a bit of material here. We're up a minor piece, and our queen is preventing black from escaping to the back rank. Black's bishop is pinned to his king. Sorry, her king. And simply bishop d3 here, getting the queen a little bit outside of the way, and then bishop c1 pins the knight, and we're up so much material that it's like winning. And Polgar resigned here or lost on time, but probably resigned. Okay, let's do the next one. And these are mostly blitz games. So b3. b6 is not that common, so we'll just... How about a game Carlsen played in this? Again, probably a blitz game. This isn't as solid as the mainline Sicilian, so people usually hold off on it. So the theme bishop b5 is really standard if the knight's on c6. An early f4. When they play a6, we take the knight usually, even if it doesn't double their pawns. It's just really important that their knight doesn't hop into d4, and that they don't get so much control of the center with e5, knight to d4 type of situations. So queen e2 again, we're moving the queen. And that's kind of what I was trying to say. When we move our queen to the center, it's often to defend the light squares, because we give up our light squared bishop so early in a lot of these lines. Castling queenside, I guess, is common here. You could go kingside, but why would you when you can get an attack with d4? And this is our delayed d4, so we see a lot of the same themes from the first game so far. Activating our knight. And this position isn't too hard for black to play. I mean, we haven't really threatened anything yet, but we do have a lot of pressure with moves like g4, g5, h4. We're getting our attack is a lot faster. It's crashing through right here. And obviously we're like the number one player in the world, but still. Just we have a lot of initiative, I'd say. Because how does black break through? Like our bishop on b2 is guarding the dark squares. He he would have to play d5, queen a5, bishop a3 to get rid of our bishop. Now, I would not have necessarily played a3 there because it just creates extra weaknesses whenever you move pawns around your king. But there, I guess it was to prevent b4, to slow down black's attacks significantly. So Carlsen wins a pawn here. And I guess his opponent figured that he needed to create some open lines in order to get compensation. So black's bishop on e7 can't really go anywhere and isn't really doing anything. It's like kind of guarding the dark squares, but compare our bishop on b2 to black's bishop on e7. It's just really dynamic, I'd say. It's cutting across the entire board, guarding g7, and we could definitely go through on the h-file, like h5, g6, and try to mate him over there. Or we could go on f7, and that bishop, our dark squared bishop now, it did get cut off, but if we put a lot of pressure on e5, maybe it'll do something. Whereas his bishop on e7 is really doing nothing at all. It's important our queen guards c2. We can't let him take c2. Rook c7, guarding his bishop, I guess about to triple up. Rook d2 guards our c2 pawn. He offers a trade of queens, and this was a mistake because of check. And he can't play d takes e5 or we win his queen. So he has to move. And now we trade queens. Rook f5 guards g5. And here we are up one pawn, but our position's a lot better. Look at all of his isolated pawns compared to both of our connected clusters. And we're also going to win a5. So yeah, interesting games and just some interesting themes in both of them with the b3 Sicilian. So if you like aggressive openings and putting your opponent in an awkward position on move 2, I encourage you to check some games out. Thanks for watching.